it's Friday, so it's our relationship and sex podcast. Anything that has anything to do with these things, we're here to talk about. And I know we finished our last Friday. And also this is a new season. So happy 2024.
I know, and I was thinking there's someone. Well, we get banned on TikTok. I mean, on Instagram all the time for being like not even fucking sexy. Okay, it's not even a sexy photo, and they're like, you're in jail. And then there's one account that we follow, and they were a duo, and they're still a duo, but then they also have their own pages.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm like, I'm not even sure why they just don't do OnlyFans, because they'd kill it, because it is soft porn on Instagram, and they get I'm talking.
But they do it. They do their version of that.
Yeah, but not together on. They could do erotica on OnlyFans and kill it. Like,
I feel like they kind of do erotica on the other
Instagram.
thing.
Oh,
the one that you have to subscribe
Patron.
for.
Okay, Patron.
Because every time they say something, and I feel like it's gonna get really juicy, they're like, "Go to our Patreon page." I'm like, that's where the real shit goes down.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll never know what goes on there because I don't subscribe. We haven't discussed this, but this is I've just been talking about this the past few days.
Okay, so a mass bust up of marriages at around 40. Okay, now it's being pushed to 50 something,
and 70% of divorces are initiated by women.
Yes. So they hit 50, or their kids are getting older, and they're kind of like, oh fuck, the next phase of my life is with you. And
you know what else? I feel like when it was younger, it was like catastrophes. Like there was mass yelling and fighting, or there was an affair, and it was all this
quiet.
Now
quitting,
it's
quiet divorcing.
It's people just realizing we have grown apart. We're not in love. I want something different. I deserve happiness. I want more.
Exactly.
And notably, 70% now are women.
So I'm finding that the divorce rate is just getting late. So before I'm like, wow, no one's really getting divorced. Now you're like, oh, we're just too young.
Yes.
And then you see the next, you see people who's older than you, and it's all happening in that age.
And because my friend was like, I thought when I got divorced, so many people are getting divorced. She's like, nobody's fucking divorced yet. I'm like, we need a couple of years.
It used to be younger, and now let me tell you, it's happening. I would say 50, 52.
I know.
50, 52.
Yeah.
I'm watching the next years, and I'm like, I do think they have better odds though, because their kids are older.
Mm-hmm.
It's less.
What do you mean better odds of what?
Like having it less laborious of it being like a shit show where you're a single mom and you're trying to
it's less risky of a leave.
You're leaving. Listen, I am totally making this shit up. And if this is not your reality, I'm not pretending it is, but your kids are older. You can leave them home alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not having to deal with a baby, a toddler, and a middle school kid and managing their feelings. Like,
I think that you also realize your kids are understanding more as adults, like that we all deserve happiness.
Totally.
And that don't stay, our kids would probably say now, our older ones for sure, don't stay in a place where you're not happy if you can find happiness.
And you can go on a date without being like, I have to find a babysitter. I can't tell them who's going to put them to bed. Oh my, I feel like when you're old, it's more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not, it could be still conflictual, but I feel like you have less moving parts in terms of like your kids could be at university and you could be finding your life again.
Yes. And another thing someone said was sometimes they're like, if you want to be poor, get a divorce. I understand that divorce is very expensive and you're taking two salaries and jobs and you're breaking into two, but don't just assume that's the case, because especially if your husband makes more money than you, sometimes you can actually have more money than what you have access to if you're not completely, if you're not together in the money 100%, you might actually be richer without him because of what he'll actually have to give you that you have the ability to spend on what you want.
You hear that?
You could be richer. You could be richer.
You could be richer. And I just was thinking, I'm like, wow. So divorce is definitely the shift is happening. And then I was like, oh my God, our kids will have so many partners in life, probably, because everyone is living so much longer. So I'm like, I think we're going to get to a place where they'll probably have multiple partners, multiple children with multiple people, and it'll be a unique family where it's not just you have one partner for 30 years and then you have a terrible divorce and then you move on.
I hope that becomes more of the norm, because I know a lot of people are listening to this and being like, no, like there is something very desirable about being maybe like your parents and being married for 50 years and celebrating all that. That's a traditional way of thinking. And if that's the way that you want it and you think that that's great, but it would be really nice if there was a world where a lot of different options were normal and become the new tradition.
What I see T Swift
Mm-hmm.
and Travis, they're 34.
Mm-hmm.
They're both single.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they're very young.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not married. They haven't been married.
Yeah.
No one has kids. And
that's never felt like, oh, they're so old, they should get married and have kids.
Nope. And I was like, that is, and like Selena Gomez, like all of them being in their 30s and being like
Justin and Haley are not the normal.
No, and looking like they're living the life of 20-year-olds. I'm like, that is because she's about to be, whatever that geriatric. She's about to be geriatric in terms of pregnancy, even though they're trying to get rid of that term. But like,
she probably has her eggs.
So, but
frozen
just
since she was 28.
Think about that.
Yeah,
that is like the pop culture mirroring the world. So everyone growing up is who idolizes Taylor Swift, and they're a young generation.
They're not going to feel the same pressure that people felt to like be married before you were 30.
Yep.
But I think, unfortunately, and it's too bad that this isn't changing. And I know you can have kids when you're older, but a real conversation is going to have to be freezing your eggs, because it's fine to wait longer. But if you want to have a family, you don't want to get screwed because of like, you know, pop culture. And then celebrities have babies when they're 50, but their situation is different, you know? So, but you know, my, one of my sister-in-law's companies pays to freeze your eggs, obviously, so they can keep them at the company longer.
Shut up.
It's covered. They pay for it.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
In Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
So, I mean, and she works for a big company, but there must be more of that than we know. But it makes.
I wonder if they freeze sperm. No, you don't freeze sperm.
I don't
freeze sperm.
I know sperm can get old, but I think sperm, in the majority, can last longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like old dudes can have babies.
Old dudes,
but old ladies can't have babies.
Okay.
Our bodies retire. Theirs don't retire as fast.
Do you think, though, this is a real question, it's going to sound...
and yes, you can freeze sperm, because you know people like they know they're going to go through cancer, so
True.
they freeze their sperm.
Okay, but the rate of velocity that it comes out of the balls...
they get slower, apparently.
Yes, I was going to say...
Lazier.
And lazier, and so they probably...
Yeah, they should freeze all of that, you're right.
They get tired probably going to the egg.
Tired sperm.
I bet...
Yep.
I bet the older you get, the more
freeze
tired...
sperm, freeze eggs, and then we can do anything that we want.
Because if your balls drop, then it would have farther to fly out.
Okay.
Stop it. You think about that.
No, I know.
They drop. You have it's gravity.
I heard that they get slower and older, but in reality, like, I think that new sperm are made all the time. I don't think like old man.
No, but your balls drop. They have to fly up farther. They have to swim.
By what, a centimeter? How long are these balls dropping?
I bet men's balls drop quite a bit. Natalie, I bet they drop a good...
Do you think any old man's balls stay tight?
Nope. No. It's gravity. Nothing stays tight. Nothing. You think balls are going to be
So you think Kevin Costner's
balls? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, some people have more sag than others, but like...
yes.
Absolutely.
That was not my husband does, but you guys have heard me say that I slept with a guy. We were in our 20s and his ball sack was so droopy.
Listen,
I thought, what the hell is that?
If labia gets loose, balls get even looser. Like everything goes, everything just...
Yeah. Because it's hanging.
Yeah. I think the only thing that doesn't are toes because they're on the ground.
I think they get flatter.
Probably.
Yeah.
So no, everything. So I was just thinking, I'm like, it would actually be harder to go up and out.
I suppose. I don't know if that's a thing. I think maybe old men make older sperm.
Absolutely.
But
there's not going to be sharp whippersnappers.
No. But then I think some men have some very good sperm. You know what I mean? And then some men have some very lazy. Because men have low sperm count, right? Some do.
So I was telling my
gross.
I was saying to my kids, I'm like, I don't think as parents we give sperm and then my children. I do let them know, that they did come from their dad and he was sperm. Because they always like, that's so weird. How was I chosen? I'm like, you swam the farthest and the fastest up to my egg. You came out of daddy's shaft.
That's disgusting. How many in each shot? What's the average amount of sperms? And by the way, I don't know how big sperms are, but in my mind, they're a size of like a quarter of the size of tadpoles, but they're so small, right? But they look exactly like tadpoles. They are little fish, and if you put that in your mouth, there are fish in your mouth. Basically, you're eating fish if you swallow.
You know how weird it is that as parents, we have to tell our kids about sex and then have sex, and then they know you have sex, and then you have to have sex with your kids in the house, and then there's like sex, and then your kids start having sex maybe in the house, and then everyone's having sex, and then there's just could be sperm on the sheets, and then you have to wash the sheets, and there's sperm like everywhere. There could be sperm everywhere, and you don't even know it. There could be sperm in the shower. You could go up a shower, and there could be sperm in there, and you don't even know it.
I feel like throwing up.
I'm just
You could get a little sperm stuck under your toenail.
I'm just saying, like, you give a blowjob and then you brush your teeth. There is sperm in your toothbrush, possibly.
That's so gross. How long does sperm live in like air?
Like 3 days.
That's not true.
Yes.
Nope.
Inside of you, 3 days.
Yeah.
They can incubate. I think they last like a little bit. They live. They can swim around. Yes, you can.
I know.
You can sit
I know
on
inside.
the bed and get pregnant. No, outside.
No, but not 3 days later.
No. That would be risky.
That would be risky. I think the whole thing is so weird and gross. And it also feels fake and made up. Like, oh, he's got a sperm and then it goes and breaks into an egg. Like, what are we even talking about? That's not even real.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's not real.
No, it is. I've seen it.
I mean, real.
Oh, got
like
it.
real. Like, that's
No,
ridiculous.
I've seen it come out.
What do you mean? We've all seen it come out. What do you mean? Oh, gosh. Ew. It's so creamy, too.
Stop it.
Yeah. Here you go. You started it.
Anyways, no, I was just saying this for.
How
Anyways,
big is an egg?
no, I don't.
Show me with your hands.
No, I don't know. I don't.
Do you think an egg's that big?
Yeah.
You think it's that big?
Yeah, I think it comes out. It's a clot. That's what comes out of you. The egg comes out of you. You see the egg.
That
Well,
big?
Sure.
Huh.
It's a sac.
What's inside the egg? DNA?
Yep. In fibers. So I was saying to my kids, I was like, we talk a lot about sex with. We don't talk a lot about sex with them, but we talk about like you teach them about sex, about things, but we never talk about relationships, like how you should be treated, what that should look like how they should make you feel. Like, there's so much emphasis on the physicality of it, which is really, when you're married, a very small part of your relationship in terms of what you have to maneuver, right? Like, it's a big part, but it's not like the end to the end all. Like, sex is like a very small part of what you have to do every day, although they'd like it differently. So I said to myself, I was like, how are we teaching them what they should, because social media is doing it like massive. We don't even know the effects that social media is going to have on them in terms of how they see relationships, right? Like in terms of what they think, in terms of what they see, in terms of who they like, how they talk to each other, like what, because I'm hanging around younger people sometimes and I see the way they talk to each other and I'm kind of like, that's not a respectful way to talk to each other in terms of a conversation.
Well, I think a good example is like when you're even talking about friendships, because there shouldn't really be too much of a difference when we're just talking about respectfulness before we go to like romantic relationships.
True.
Starting with friends is, I mean, that's a good basis. Also, like we always talk about how you should properly respect and treat your siblings, which obviously doesn't happen all the time. But even those conversations, I think, are a basis for their relationships in the future. And then also pointing out sometimes when you see somebody talking to someone like that way and then saying like, did you see how they handled that or how they spoke to each other? Because they're also very observant of relationships of like family friends that they know, and they watch how the wife and the husband are together.
Yeah.
And then their other example is us.
Yeah. Taylor, Nat's daughter came in on like a family trip. It was like obviously just about 6 of us, and she was there. And I remember you being like, what were they like? Remember you asked that? Didn't you ask what they were like? You do that for everybody. Remember you asked, and I was like, "What did she say?"
What did she say?
No, we're not like normal. Like they like laugh and like fun. Like I'm like, yeah, we're normal. Like nothing changes when we go away. Like we're not like.
I did not think there was going to be a surprise.
Yeah, maybe there was. Imagine it was like so intense, and we were like fought the whole time,
arguing and all of that. And I didn't even know if it was like something you privately did, and then Taylor could hear you through the walls.
Yeah, no. So I because my daughter let me know if she gets a boyfriend, she'll never tell me. I'm never going to tell you if I get a boyfriend. I was like, I
also don't believe a fucking word that lady says.
Me neither. So I was laughing. I'm like, well, that's fine. You don't have to tell me. And I go, Max, will you tell me? He's like, sure. You want me to? I'm like, if you want to, I don't really care.
I mean, you'll probably just know.
So I said, I hope that when they do, they know what to look for, because I think sometimes your partners get away with a lot more than you let anybody else get away with, or the people you like. And I was like, I hope that, number one, they let you be who you are without, you don't have to be someone you're not because you're worried about what they think of you. Or I think a lot of people change and they're different people with their partners than they are in work, in thing. Like they're not the same person.
Mm-hmm.
They become a different version of themselves at home because that's what's expected of them versus who they are across the board. And I was thinking when I saw that relationship, I was like, are you this way because that's what they think you should be? Or can you just be yourself and that's totally okay? Or are you always trying to be something to prove that you're that person? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, when I'm hearing this, I'm thinking about, I actually had 2 boyfriends where I wasn't completely me. And I remember feeling it. And I remember like holding it back. And I remember thinking like, this could never be long term.
You remember that? You knew that?
Oh my gosh. I was like, how could I ever be with this person if I can't be
I was
weird?
with someone like that too. 100%. Not weird. Just like you knew they would judge you.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, I just won't be that. I don't have to be that. I can be a different version of myself.
Well, I also was like, I'll be that when I'm with my girlfriends and my family, but
Totally.
I won't be like when I'm with him. And because I remember, when you're weird, like, when we think about our kids when they go crazy and like weird. Okay, you're fine. Like last night with your kids, right?
Yeah.
They're, I knew when I did that with at least one of them, he'd kind of be like, also, he wanted to be the one with the spotlight. So if I was trying to like be funny and
That's such a fucking thing, by the way.
Get the attention, then he was kind of like, I'm the funny one. I'm the one who's like the loud talker. Like
that was the same with me. He was like, you are too confident you're too confident. And I was like this. I'm fucking 20. What do you mean I'm too I was so confused by that comment. He's like, you shouldn't have the confidence you have at this age. I'm like,
I'm older. I should have the confidence.
It's me.
This is my show.
Yeah. I'm like this. What? I was so confused.
I'm so curious because I think about this one person in particular, and he was very young. And you know what? I ended up having a conversation with him as adults, and he ended up being like, kind of like apologizing for being the way that he was. And he's with a woman now, and they look very happy. I wonder if he really did mature out of that, or if it's still there and she is kind of like either she doesn't let her freak flag fly, or she's obedient. She either doesn't have one, or is she like kind of like obedient to him?
I said to mine, my life is bigger than it ever will be with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like my life has so much more than what I remember just thinking. I was like, I am actually destined to be more than you, more than I am with you. I remember saying that. And I was like, and that's closed. We're done here. I had to go to therapy about that one, like to figure that out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Even though I was in therapy school, but I went to therapy to be like, my mind is so fucked right now. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm bigger than you. Oh, I said that. I guess that's for confidence.
Do you don't even know how inappropriate my grad you get a grad picture in the thing.
Yeah.
Well, I got one because you take those pictures and write that thing in the fall. I didn't actually graduate, but they've already made the yearbook.
What did you write?
It's so, my mom was so embarrassed.
Did you write?
So cringe. Basically,
I mean, I cringe at that comment too, but it was an epiphany for me. It was like, oh, I'm not meant to be a housewife and sit and please you. That's what that was for me.
I said, it says something like my friend's initials and yada yada. And then I was like, I think at the time I also had a boyfriend, by the way. To all the boys who've come and gone, you were all great, but I want more. I need it all. In my grad comment to all of the boys.
Shut up.
It's so embarrassing. I have to show it to you. It's so embarrassing. How dare I? In my grad comment. So all the ex-boyfriends from my school or whatever were like, she just said, we're not good enough for her.
I kind of love that for you.
Oh, my mom was like, what did you do? I was like, oh, that's
so no one spell checked. No one checked it before.
No. And I felt just like to all my girlfriends, I love you. And to you boys, like,
too bad
you were great.
You're not good enough.
I want it all.
I wish
cringe.
I wish I'd done that. I don't have one. I don't even have a written one. I wish I could have done that.
What you would have said.
Who the fuck? Probably like, let's roll a joint and get high.
Yeah.
Let's go fucking high.
Oh my God. Yeah, but I wasn't getting high on weed in grade 13 anymore.
No, me neither. But right. Okay, so I would have been something more mature. Probably so mature for an 13-year-old.
Because mine was definitely immature and really rude.
Yeah.
Really rude to the to all those guys.
Yeah.
who I was probably dating 2 at the same time. And then
Right.
oh, what a bitch.
I have a question for you. We're going to take a break and come right back. Do you think that when you're single at this age now with children, you get the euphoria you did when you were younger, when you have responsibilities and you can't have reckless abandonment in a relationship? Or can you have reckless abandonment? Because I know when you're younger, you can stay up and dry hump for like 12 hours and not even realize that the time is 12 hours.
I don't know, because we can't possibly know.
Do you know anyone who has like reckless abandonment, where just like, I am addicted to you, I want to call you, I want to talk to you?
I don't have a lot of experience of people who are divorced and have had that.
Because that's where I feel like you make bad decisions. Because you get in that zone and then you become entrenched because you become infatuated with each other.
Well, I think also like my eyes see different things than they saw when I was in my early 20s.
Very true.
My eyes see things that like maybe wouldn't have turned me off when I was younger. Now it's like we know so many things, and we know about, and we already can see things that you're like, oh my God, that's so amazing. You have more scrutinizing mind. I know you're going to age. I know you're going to change. Like, is your face, because you used to look at like the face of like when you were in your 20s and his face was just so beautiful, everything about it, Now you're like, I know you get bad breath in the morning. I know you're going to get wrinkles. I know you're going to, like, it's like too much.
Because I see high school kids who've been together for so long, like been together in a relationship for so long. And then I'm like, do you still have that feeling 6 years in?
I know.
Or are you like, I'm tired tonight, I don't want to make out with you?
I wonder that about sex lives of teenagers all the time.
I mean, like, I won't gross people out. I'll say like they're 20 and they've been together since they were 14. Are they now like?
I know.
Do they live like
a married couple, or do they still?
Are they still like? Well, I miss you. I want to see you. I need to. Or is it an age thing? What is that thing?
And when you were younger, like every time you saw them, there would never be a time where you didn't make out and fool around.
I know.
Every single time.
And it was so exciting.
Oh my gosh, every time. But there'd never be a time that you just went to dinner with your boyfriend and didn't do anything.
That's why we have to lay the groundwork for how to be treated with them and what to look for in a partner. Because I swear to God, the best thing I ever did was marry someone who let me be me at that time. Because that, not who I was going to be, not who I should be, but who I was. Because I haven't changed that. I mean, I've changed, but I haven't changed that much. And that is a clear indicator of who they can be. And I feel like it's one of the biggest. And marry someone who's good with kids if you're going to have kids with them, because even if it doesn't work out, they'd be a great dad.
Look, that's one thing. That's a piece of advice. Look at the person you're going to marry and wonder what they would be like as a divorced dad.
Yeah. And then see, like, would he be mean?
Would he try and be vengeful just because,
I know,
just because of me? Or would they be fair, and would they be kind, and they would be loving because they love their children?
Yeah. And I feel like a good dad would be show up and want to be there and not let the things of our relationship impact. I didn't know that at the time, but now I absolutely know that. I'm going to tell my kids, like, find a good partner who's so good with your children and can put them before your shit.
And they can also separate the children from your relationship.
Yeah, before your shit. Like, that is, you guys are a partnership. Your shit can't impact how you navigate parenthood. Your relationship is separate of parenthood. They're two separate entities.
We're not having kids because we're so in love. We're having kids because we want to have children.
Yeah. And someone who lets you be you, like fully embraces you as a person and isn't judging you of who you are or who you should be. And it's kind of like, they should never eye roll you. They should never be like, oh my God, you're like, that's so extra. Don't do that.
And by the way, because we showed our current husbands that person then, and I truly believe for both of them, there was part of exactly that thing is one of the reasons that they liked us so much.
Yeah.
That odd side. They don't know that's what it was, but I think that like it's like they were being rebels marrying us, and they liked that part of it.
And there is a story for probably not for the for the subscription podcast, but I remember there was like a pivotal moment where people would call me, and I'll tell the story on that podcast, but I won't tell it here, but where I think a lot of people told my husband, stay away. Even his friends were like, don't do that. Like, stay away from that one, because I was perceived as one way. He knew me differently. You can make preservation. What's that word? You can make judgments, whatever. You can perceive me however you want. You're going to perceive me however you want. You're going to judge me however the hell you want. And I remember one of his best friends at the time, and I was so angry. Not because of anything other than he didn't think I was right for his friend. And I remember it didn't impact he wasn't like, well, they're all saying that
so
I
his
shouldn't.
best friend and his mother.
Yeah. But I don't think, I think red flag, because it's my mom's red flag, fucking red flag over here. I think that I probably think he could have had an easier life. We've talked about this.
Yep.
They probably could have easier lives.
Yes.
And I think that that's what they saw, was like, you don't have to make this difficult. You're making this difficult with her. Why do you want a difficult life with this one?
And I think that both of our husbands were up for the challenge. I think
they knew something different.
They knew. They saw something like, I'd rather have this kind of a person. And even though it's not going to be that easy, I want this in my life.
Yeah. So but I hope that my kids, oh God, because they're probably like, if I was saying to my kids, don't do that, I hope they're like, fuck you. Well, I would hope they would know so much so that they were so right that they were right. Like, I hope, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I remember him just being like this, because I was so myself. I think it scares people. I think that scares people when you're who you are at a very young age. And that's kind of like, why do you want that when you can be someone so different and be like, hi.
I also didn't have a good resume of like, because people like, oh, she went to this school and then she went to this school and all this, like, oh, she did this and that. It's like, for traditional parents, they're probably like, not even a guarantee these ones are going to be like, are these going to be good moms? Because the way they talk about the way they did their life,
that was so inappropriate.
Yeah,
my mouth is so inappropriate. I've gotten so much cleaner since back then.
Oh, wow.
I mean, yeah. Oh. No, I was like, yeah. I mean, I'd throw a titty fuck out just like on a regular Monday.
But I think that when sometimes people do that also for shock value. You do it enough times and you're like, I'm done with this shock value.
Oh, also because of the industry I worked in, you had to be clever, because I was going to fucking one up every man who tried to make me uncomfortable. Like, you can't make me uncomfortable. I'll make you more uncomfortable. Because when you're a waitress and they could treat you how they treated you, you had to be like, you know what? I will. Oh, you want to do that to me? Fucking watch me make you squirm, you asshole. That was to have a sharp tongue when you waitress. But in a funny way. Just joking.
I'm just joking. Give me a big tip, baby cakes.
Give me a big tip, not just the tip though. Yeah, no, I'm curious to see, because I mean, we're going to be experiencing relationships very soon, and it, like, in a way that isn't just like fluid. That isn't like, I see that I like this guy. It's going to be, someone is going to come into their lives. We have 7 children. There is going to be, because I'm seeing all the Christmas posts. We got to go in a minute, but I'm seeing all the Christmas posts, okay? And I'm seeing people with their boyfriends and they're like included in as the family.
I'm like, always put them on the end so they can be cut off.
So I'm like, that is a reality. They'll travel with you. They could come with you. You could have someone come to Boston with you with your in-laws when they're like 19 or 20. They're going to come home for the holidays with somebody, or they're going to go to somebody's house. And I'm like, this is going to be real, like real soon. And someone's going to walk in and we're going to be like, the whole bee's nest is going to go buzzing. Grandma's going to get involved. Everyone is. Can you imagine when someone brings someone home? Everyone is going to come over.
Oh, yeah. They're coming for dinner. Everyone get a front row seat. Let's watch this show.
Like, and it's not just like a crush. It's like they are dating.
Oh, yeah.
They are good.
I like us just the way we are. I don't want any extras.
It's going to happen. I literally watched all of the, and I'm like, who's that? I was like, oh my God, the people bring people on their, oh my God.
And our brothers did it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, oh yeah. I am friends with all the girlfriends still. I had them at Christmas Eve. All the exes. Come on over. It's not crazy from high school.
We have so far.
I know. I have grade 3. It's just beginning.
Guys, if you want to hear this podcast without ads, subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, and we will see you next podcast.